Okay, this is the site. I'll just explain the outside, the building concept, but it's a 310 square metre piece of land, which is the former garden of a 1970s house that's retained. It's walking distance to the beach and it's got disabled access at the beach. The brief is for a house that will have 3 bedrooms, one with a capacity to have a small family in it separate with its own living, and 2 bedrooms probably on the ground, one of whom accommodates a disabled wheelchair-bound person. And it was to be maintenance-free, and if you can see the marine environment, it's very close there. So the biggest question we faced at the start, and it influences the inside so much, was that what will we do in a marine environment? So we looked at metals and all sorts of cladding, but we in the end went for red ironbark. This is a red ironbark tree, but we went for a charred outside. If you see the char, but there's this image, you can see the internal tree is red, and so the interior is natural red ironbark, but the outside is charred ironbark. The planning shows the tightness of the site. It was subdivided at that shape. We adopted the curves of the front. We're only 2 metres set back from the street. You see it on the right-hand side is where we developed a 2-storey ellipsoidal building. On the ground is a large living area, and it's a performance space. Our daughter who lived there is a professional musician and wishes to perform acoustic works there as well. Just showing the plan. In that space we cut out the kitchen as a wedge via structural cantilevered trusses that meet in the middle of that wedge. 2 bedrooms open to the outside via protected shutters. The house, in that sense, is supposed to be an escape from Melbourne, so that's partially explains the closing up of it. We've got an apex that came out of the site, the focal point of the fireplace, television. There's a tree out there, and so the living all aims into that space, and it's got free movement from bedroom 2 particularly through to bathrooms, so there's no corridor specifically in that sense. First floor shows that family bedroom that can accommodate 4 with its own living, and another wedge deck that is cut into the space. And this shows the performance layout for up to 40 people. And that shows the form of the building, the exterior charred part, and then you see the single story which is protecting next door. So that outside building sits behind trees, and part of that is to close up and be a sculptural form that displays those moonah trees which are iconic. And this is just to show you the 2 parts put together just during construction. And that shows that where we extract the inside of the garage, we expose that inside of natural red ironbark. And that's the north side with the living facing the open space. So we invite into the inside because you expose that red ironbark naturally. It invites you into the interior. And coming in, you get the large north windows, a natural concrete which has been added white additive and had aggregate white change from the black, so that we've got a black and white contrast. An acoustic ceiling, decor linear, which is running on an axis to the point, and large openable windows. This is looking back out from the living space, and you get that the interior's got a continuous skin. Whenever we divide that skin, we slice it with black aluminium, and then the black kitchen is sitting in there. That's looking back the other way. The kitchen is sliced out in a black char, just an aluminium, laminated char in a black and white contrast. And the island is elliptical, which reflects the building it's sitting under, and it ties up with the tangent. We have indoor-outdoor movement there because our son, who is greatly susceptible to glare and doesn't really actually want to be in the sun. So it's a greatly protected interior that's growing a lot more than it shows there. In terms of materials, we adjusted the slab to get that white and black contrast, and we had a black char contrast in the joinery, which is actually curved cupboards there. The curves also assist the acoustic performance, and you've got the red, and that's showing the red ironbark running to 2400, a reference to the outer skin in terms of the 300 of a char, and then the linear ceiling. That's showing a detail. When we go upstairs, we change that floor treatment into a natural loop pile, and that's the only change. The language and palette remains the same. These show the bedrooms, which are nestled in behind the kitchen and have their own controlled outlook directly because they're only a short distance to the actual street. It's the other bedroom cutting through there with a black reference up top. The ensuite takes that black skin wall that it's behind the curved wall of the street and actually accentuates that in a black tile. Upstairs you get the family bedroom sitting in that similar skin where you feel the whole ellipse sitting there in red ironbark. That's the deck which cuts into the first floor and showing the shutters open, and that's the shutters closed, in which you actually see the uncharred red ironbark on the rear of the charred timber. We go through out of that living space up to a roof deck, which is really a swimming pool and giving a great swimming pool of timber, giving a big expansive view all over Point Lonsdale to the dunes. And that shows the curved trusses that enable these wedges to be cut in and out. They're cantilevered and welded in the middle of the kitchen. This is showing a thermal performance. The sun penetrates nearly the full length of the living space in the winter, cuts back to about 600 to 800 in summer. The building has got its own panels. It's generating an excess of energy, and that was a choice about the intermittent use, so it supplies energy all year to the grid. It's ready to supply power to a battery, and given we were going to walk everywhere, that's where we actually will charge a car during the day. And the fireplace sits as a focal point, and there's a tree then sits beyond that. The performance took place late last year. Neighbours were included in the 38 people who attended. It's actually now becoming a sort of a facility that offers something to Point Lonsdale, and then it reverts. And then it can become, this space becomes then our living space when we're using it as a holiday house. And it shows that richness. We light the buildings up inside on the perimeter, and we light it down the exterior. This shows that landscape role. On the external of that protective pergola will be a red deciduous creeper and a wall of green creeper on the north. Some of those external details where you've seen from the inside. The inside is actually shown, when it is open and wanting to be seen, it really invites everybody to look in. And the colours and paintings that actually match it, you can see the red ironbark. Whenever we slice again, we slice through that facade with the black edge. But the building is ultimately inviting the public in for these performances. So it's actually a building that really celebrates the inside once you've come through that charred skin. We believe it's a modest building put onto 310 square metres. The limited palette inside is actually maintained freshness, it's timeless, and it's natural materials. The outside will only have to get oiled once every 7 years, and the inside's only been oiled once and probably we've never touched again. So you've got a clean slab and timber having a predominant role. And when we extract out of this building, that's where the garage is shown, that red ironbark comes out. It's because the garage feels like it's been pulled out of the building. So that just shows the building.